Hey, Salvador Briggman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified YouTube channel. And today we are talking about Kickstarter and specifically, how do you assemble a team for your Kickstarter campaign? Why is this even important? Like, why are you even talking about team building? Why is this literally going to radically upgrade and shift the results that you can receive when you're doing a crowdfunding campaign? We're talking about all of that today. All right, so why are we talking about team building? Why is this something that is important for a very successful Kickstarter campaign? Here's the reason. When you go on Kickstarter and you browse through and you see some of the mega campaigns that are out there, I'm not talking about raising $10,000 or $20,000 even. I'm talking about the mega successful campaigns, the ones that are doing six figures and up, the $1 million campaigns. As an individual creator or an entrepreneur, it's really easy to delude yourself into thinking that this person did that all themselves, that they made the video, they did the graphics, that they created up with the product idea, they marketed, they did the Facebook ads, they did the email list, they did all the things we talk about on this YouTube channel. It's so easy to delude yourself into thinking that. And then you compare yourself to this success story and you're like, there's no way I could ever do that. And you start to become a little bit disheartened, right? You start to kind of beat yourself down. You're like, I don't think I have it in me to actually pull off this level of campaign. So you either have to, sort of set your sights a little bit lower and do like a $5,000 raise or $10,000 raise, or you just are like, I can't figure this out. I'm gonna give up. I'm too scared, right? There is a middle path, and that's really what I want to share with you on today's particular video, is the middle path, which is the surest way to success. I'm sharing with you that today. So what is this mysterious middle path that I'm referring to? And that's basically understanding how to create an organization from scratch. All great things in the world, all great things when it comes to business, all great things when it comes to even your personal life are done by teams of people. Take any example. If you take a new product, these Beats headphones were not created by one individual. Maybe one designer, but probably multiple designers. And even then, the people who did the electronics, the people who did the coloring, the people who manufactured it, the people who are marketing and selling it on a website, amazing things, incredible products that we just are like, wow, make our eyes really big, like the Apple iPhone. Those products are made by teams of people, and it almost seems alien. Like when you come across a new computer, like a laptop that's really, beautifully designed, incredible texture, nice looking screen, high resolution, you almost get this level of excitement. It almost feels like not a normal human being could have made that. And that's true because it's made by thousands and thousands of people who've all worked really hard and assembled their work together in order to make this particular product. If you think about really large structures, the things that we talk about when it comes to our society, for example, the pyramids, right? The wonders of the world, those were not made by individuals. Those were made by teams of people. Same thing goes when it comes to even your personal life, like a family unit. When you're having a family and you're growing and you have kids and that kind of stuff, that's a team, that is a unit that produces a particular outcome. Right? If you're just yourself and alone, you're pretty much limited to what your skill sets are, what you know, what your motivation level is, and your emotional abilities to kind of handle yourself, right? When you have a team, you can suddenly dive into many diverse skill sets. I might not be the best person at mathematics, but I can hire someone who is. I might not be the best accountant, but I can hire someone who is. I really only need a very limited skill set and to surround myself with other people who are very skilled in order to pull off something that I could never do myself. The other way to think about it is people with different emotional temperaments, right? So not everyone is good or wants to do marketing. Not everyone wants to do sales. Some people who watch my videos say, Sal, you're talking so quickly, you have so much energy, I could never do that. I could never talk for years, or you talk for putting out all of these hundreds of YouTube videos. I could never do that. And that's true, that's fine. You don't have to do it necessarily. You just have to find someone else who can fill that void, that member of your team. So rather than thinking about the individual skill sets that you have and trying to compare that to other projects that you see on Kickstarter, instead, you should be thinking about the roles that you need to fill in your team in order to get there. So let's talk about the common roles when it comes to Kickstarter. The first is graphic design. Being able to make the graphics and make the photos look really cool on your page, as well as when it comes to graphics, people who can actually take photography, can take photos of the product itself, have models there, maybe using the product, so you can take photos of them, video footage of that. So you need to get what I call the raw assets, when it comes to a campaign, the photos and the video. That's really what makes up, gives you the raw fodder to be able to actually sculpt this thing that ends up being the final product, right? So you need to first get that. You need to assemble your production team there, and you can usually hire that out, or you could have someone who you know is a referral, who does freelancing work, who can take some really great video footage and some really good photos for you. From that point in time, you then need someone who can edit those photos, who can write text on them, that can make them look cool, that can then be used in advertisements and these other things. So we call that graphic design. You then need someone else who does copywriting, who actually writes all of the copy out, the sales copy that's going to persuade someone who's never met you before to be interested in your product and to buy your product, to care about what it is that you're doing. And also all the transcripts when it comes to maybe the video that you're putting together and editing all this footage together, right? If you're doing a voiceover or something like that. Other members of your team, you need someone who's doing the marketing, who's running the social media, who's getting more and more traffic to your campaign, who's helping you with the pre-launch, right? There are different elements and sides, and maybe even someone who helps you with finance and thinking through the timeline. Like, what are the logistics of, okay, we're gonna get this product made in China. We're gonna ship it by air, we're gonna ship it via water. We then have to pay duties on this. It's going to be made out of these materials. It's going to go to the fulfillment company. What is the pricing going to be per product? What are we going to sell it for on Kickstarter? There's also someone who's dealing with the logistics behind the campaign. And when you think and you look at $1 million project, or you look at someone who's doing, multiple six figures on Kickstarter, they have thought through all of this, but chances are they are not the only one on that project. There's a whole team of people around them that are helping them think through these various different components that they might not be the smartest person when it comes to that. So what I learned when it comes to business, when it comes to launching a successful Kickstarter campaign, is it's not about how intelligent you are. It's not about your skill set. It's not even necessarily about your particular motivation, because there are days that I don't particularly feel very motivated. It's about the team that you surround yourself with, because then you have a bunch of different smart people, a bunch of different motivated people. You call motivate yourselves in order to work on this project, to have a smash your goal literally within the first couple of days of your campaign, to continue to trend upwards, and you know who to work with. Great things are done by teams of people. And when you've identified who is going to be on your team, that's when you've identified and almost, I think, de-risked almost running a project. To take this analogy just a really little bit further, and then to kind of close out this video to talk about some tangible ways that I would recommend assembling your team. If you look at any kind of sports team, let's just say football, right? You have football and you have a bunch of people and they're competing against another team. And every single person on that team has a role. The person who is a quarterback is very different body type than someone who's a linebacker. They have different skill sets, they have different ways of thinking about the game, they have different priorities, right? If you were to look at a team of people, let's just say for football or any sports, soccer, whatever, baseball, etc. Any team-based sport, if you look at the individuals on the team and you're like, every individual there is talented, every individual there is hungry and motivated, every individual there has a common vision. Every person who's a part of that team knows exactly what it is that they're trying to do, and they work together well. Their personalities mesh together well. If you had to bet money, if I gave you 10,000 bucks and I was like, you got to bet on who's going to win the Super Bowl, would you bet on the people who probably don't have good cohesion, probably lack some skill sets, are inexperienced, have never worked together before, aren't very confident, aren't very motivated? Or would you put your $10,000 on the team who is motivated, has the skills, has a common vision, work together, and are hungry? Obviously, you'd put your money on the other one, and the same thing goes for business. Actually building a successful team is one of the ways in which you can de-risk what it is that you're trying to do. When you have a successful team, even if you, as the entrepreneur, as the leader, make the wrong decisions, you have other people who can check you, who can say, Sal, this isn't really the best way to go about this. I would recommend this. Or here's your blind spot. You might have not spotted this thing. Or you know what? I can actually help out in this way. And you can become more intelligent as an organization versus as an individual. So let's get into some of the practical ways in which you can actually build your team. The first way is to kind of hire freelancers, right? So you can kind of cobble together enough freelancers to get the bare bones of a project together. So for example, you could hire someone that you know, a university student, maybe a small production firm, in order to get a video and photos made for your business and for your Kickstarter campaign launch. Maybe it could cost you around $4,000, maybe $5,000, somewhere around there. If you're really good at skimping, you're really good at finding low-cost labor, maybe around $3,000, you know, somewhere around there, you're gonna get a video made, right? And then also all the photos and that kind of stuff. We'll just say for $5K, you're gonna budget for that particular part, which is the production side of things, getting all the media assets there. And you're gonna find someone in your local area or someone who you could send your product to, and they take photos wherever it is that they are in the world, and they take video footage, and the video comes together that way. The next way you might find freelancers would be using other sites out there like Fiverr, right? So you can use Fiverr to kind of get together maybe a mock-up logo or to help you a little bit with the graphics or those kinds of things. But the problem with Fiverr is that you're always going to be sacrificing quality to a certain degree because these people are working for many different projects and it's not for very much money, right? So it's a little bit difficult sometimes to trust the outcome of that process, but that's another way you can begin to get people on your side. You can also network with other people that you have met in your past when it comes to business, having a co-founder maybe join the company, having someone work for you who is really experienced in social media or digital marketing, kind of helping you manage your social media channels or helping you a little bit with graphic assets, those kinds of things. This kind of basic freelancer team, some volunteers or some people that are helping out for a little bit of equity maybe in the company, this is enough to do a raise on Kickstarter if you're following my advice on this channel, if you're going through and listening to my podcast of other successful people that are doing successful Kickstarter campaigns, if you're reading the Kickstarter Launch Formula, my book, which is available via Amazon and Audible. These are all really easy ways to get the foundation and the bare bones of a project together in order to kind of mitigate risk and make sure that you're checking all the boxes, that you're not, you're not going out there and you're forgetting to think about something, you're not planning for something. I would recommend booking a coaching call. It could be with me, it could be with someone else. Obviously, I offer one-on-one coaching calls at crowdcrux.com/coaching. And what I do is I basically go over everything you've created to that point, give you individualized, tailored feedback, set aside a timeline for you in terms of what you're gonna have to do going forward, introduce you to resources that I haven't talked about on this YouTube channel that usually aren't honestly publicly available or public knowledge. It's kind of like a little bit, I guess, of the knowledge that just industry people have of different resources and tools that are popping up all the time when it comes to crowdfunding. So just a one-on-one coaching session, I've had people tell me that they've literally saved thousands of dollars when it comes to their marketing and advertising. That does not work just from a simple look over, and I can tell them very quickly what it is going wrong with your Facebook ad campaign, with your pre-launch, why don't you have the emails, what's wrong here with the landing page, and just the tiny little corrections can make a huge difference when it comes to the time that you launch. I actually just had a student who booked coaching calls with me, and they only booked 2 calls, but they were launching a campaign in France. And they literally just applied the things that I told them to do, and they did a $20,000 raise. It's incredible, Think about that, the investment up front in order to make sure that you have checked all of your boxes, you have the foundation there, you go live, and then you have a massive launch. Like, it's really exciting.